Jacob Connor from Archbishop Alter High School, class of 2022, and I'm committed to Marshall University.
Jacob Connor, welcome to What's in Your Bag.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Listen, I've known you for, a while.
Yeah.
Way back when you were smaller. I don't know if you were ever little, but smaller.
Yeah.
Used to play in my AAU basketball program, Shining Star. And here's the crazy thing about it. Whenever you would play and I would go to the game, whoever was standing and watching the game, they would go, "Who's that kid right there?" Talking about you. And they would always go, "Man, he's going to be so good. He's got so much potential." I mean, I would get that all the time, and I think everyone saw it. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, not just because you're having a fantastic season, but I want to talk about kind of your journey to where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Sound good?
Yeah.
So what we always like to do, whatever guests come on the show, we start with their bag, which we'll get to in a second. Then they have to bring in 3 items. Pair of shoes, and you know I'm a shoe guy.
Yeah.
Got to bring in a pair of shoes, and 2 items that represent your journey in life and basketball. That makes our conversation just free-flowing, and I have no idea what's in your bag. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's make it happen. Let's start with the bag.
So this bag is the Adidas 3SSB bag. It was given to us this summer for playing on the 3SSB circuit, which it was the first year of this happening. So Adidas, obviously, they split it up, and your top teams all went to the 3SSB. Wildcat Select happened to be a part of that, and I was on that team this year. And the bag is just, I don't know, it's kind of special to me because it's the first year I played on a circuit. One of the first times I played in front of college coaches. So getting to have this summer after all of the COVID issues and not being able to play going into my junior year it was pretty exciting and pretty special to be able to play against that high level of competition this summer.
Well, let's talk about AAU and your growth with AAU. So I'm an AAU guy with Shining Star, and I think it's so important for young people's development. And obviously I told you you would be playing in the game and people would point at you and say, that potential, that kid right there, is just going to be, he's going to be amazing. And AAU, I believe, has helped a lot of people's growth as far as being a better player. Mm-hmm. For you, how has AAU helped your growth?
I would say just kind of the whole iron sharpens iron thing. Like playing against the top players, you get to be really good. I mean, like in practice, we would have guys like Sean Phillips, who's going to NC State, Sincere Harris, who's going to Illinois, Bowen Hardman going to Ohio State, Isaac McNeely going to Virginia. Like those were guys that were just on my team. So having to go up against them, and then, we played against Cam Whitmore this summer, who is going to Villanova. You've got Ben Allen Lubin out of Southeast Elite, who's really good. We played Compton Magic, we played Midwest. Like playing against those guys helps, one, for me, being able to see that I can play with those top guys, and that really just helps my confidence, and that's a big part of being a player. But it helps your skills because you have to be better to play against them and to compete with them. So playing against those guys all summer is something that I think if people get to experience it, you're going to see exponential growth in your game.
Did it hit at one point during the AAU season where you were like, I can play with anybody, or was it right off the bat?
There were definitely some growing pains. I think first couple practices I struggled.
What did you struggle with?
The speed of the game,
okay.
Speed and physicality, because I was playing kind of a 4 for a little bit at the start, and it was there was a guy on my team, David Tubek, who is like 6'6" and like 225, and is like he's shredded, and having to try to guard him in the post was pretty challenging. But over the summer, I think it was were playing in Pittsburgh, and we played against Team Mello. Um, and I don't remember how I played that game, but I just remember being in that game and like standing my own and contributing to the game. I felt like at that point I was like, well, if I can play with these guys and they're all EYBL kids, like I was like, I can be at that level too. And kind of from there, my confidence just continued to grow.
And that's great for the next level when you go to college, because one of the things I think a lot of high school players are shocked at when they get to the college level is the speed and the strength at that college level.
Yeah.
You're going to be a Division I player, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And I faced that when I went to the Bearcats. And, I'm not the player you are, but going there, I'm like, oh my God, everybody's so fast, everybody's so strong. I don't know how I'm going to survive. But you got a great taste of that in AAU, and that helps you for when you get ready for the Division I level.
Right. It was great. I mean, you can pick out any team that was on the 3SSB circuit. You had probably 4 or 5 guys that were going to go play Division I, and some teams had 4 or 5 guys that were all Power 5, and they had D1 talent right to the last player on the bench, which was it was a huge challenge for us as a team, but it also was great for all of us individually because you had to go up against great players every day. So,
and the other thing, in AAU, I think gets a knock about this, but I think it's actually a positive, and that is through AAU, I think you build relationships with a lot of players all around the country. You just mentioned several guys on your team that are going on and playing Division I basketball. And you build relationships with those guys. You check in and see how they're doing. They're reaching out to you, and you build, friendships. You hear a lot of people from my generation, kind of the old heads as they call us, that go, oh, you can't be friends with, who you're playing, like they dog on LeBron for that.
Right.
But I think there's a bigger thing. You have to remember the relationships are just as important, and you've built a lot of relationships through basketball and AAU.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of those guys you're going to see them again in college.
Yeah.
So, having those relationships, and other guys you can talk to and can relate with you, I think that's a big part of the game that, like you said, gets a knock that maybe shouldn't. I mean, there's guys that were on my team, like Sincere Harris is from Ohio and in our division and plays for St. Vincent St. Mary's. So, obviously, yeah, if we were to play them, we want to beat them. But at the end of the day, Sincere is still going to be my guy. So
yeah, good for him.
It's great. Yeah.
So your team was Wildcat Select, and who was your coach?
We had Coach Monty Sanders, who's now he's at Winthrop.
Okay.
And then we had Peyton Sturm, who's a coach at West Virginia Tech, and then Christian Kesmarski was an assistant too. He's a player development trainer in Pittsburgh, and then I think he just joined New Jersey Scholars. But he's one of the best trainers I've seen. He's helped a lot of guys. Isaac McNeely was one guy that.
He's going to Virginia, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been training Isaac for a long time. So Isaac's growth has been partially a help to Christian and CK. And so he's a great dude.
Good. You're really good with remembering names and people along your journey. I like that so far.
Yeah.
Always keep that. People love when you give them a shout out.
Yeah. All those guys that have helped me on my journey, I feel like they deserve credit because without them, a lot of times, I wouldn't necessarily be in the exact position that I'm in. So I think it's good for them to get their name out there because they've helped me along the way, and what's to say they can't help somebody else.
And you did that on your Instagram post when you committed to Marshall. You gave a lot of people shouts out on the Instagram video. And I thought that was really, really cool. So that was good stuff. All right, let's jump into your first item, which is your shoes. Okay. Excited to see what you have because you've got a big foot. What is size what?
16.
16. Hard to find size 16 shoes.
All right, so these
are
a little beat up, but those are my sophomore year shoes. They're the Giannis ones.
These things are, it's like they're starting to curl in the front. Like,
yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So this was from my first year playing varsity. We had to get custom shoes for this year, so I customized them all white, and I got a little bit of gold on them. But these shoes are pretty special to me. They were my first year playing varsity, and that was kind of really what I feel like was kind of the start of my basketball journey to the next level. So that team we were 22-4. Had just played in the district finals against Wyoming out of Cincinnati at UC, the newly renovated arena, and then everything got shut down. But that season was huge for me in my growth and my learning. That team, we had 7 seniors, and for those guys to take in a 15-year-old kid and, have him start on the team and really just let me be a part of their success, I think it was huge for me because I got to see how a team works and, what holding people accountable is supposed to look like. A lot of those guys on that team, they've maybe not gone on to play college basketball, but they've been great leaders. They were great leaders in high school. The other guys that I was on that team with, you had Brady Ewell, Jack Smith, Connor Stolley, which 2 of those guys are Shining Star alum.
And Brady's at UD as a walk-on?
Brady's at UD. And then you had Rich Kolb, you had Ethan Deep, Austin Brogan, which is Aiden's older brother. Mm-hmm. And then you had Trevor Fraley, who was a manager but was a part of the journey the whole way and got to play on senior night. So, but being a part of that team was, an amazing experience for me just to be able to, going on the trip. We went to Hilton Head for our Christmas trip and, seeing how the guys interacted with each other. We went, I think we watched the new Star Wars movie or something down there. But, just being a part of that group was awesome. And, at the end of the year, we got to cut down a net. Obviously, we wish we would have got to do more. But, yeah, so that shoe's been through a lot of courts, and most recently the UC court.
Yeah. So talk a little bit, as I look at this shoe here, I always talk about the tread and it being, a lot of kids bringing shoes that either from a big game or from a big season, and obviously yours was a big season, it's kind of worn down and you've put in a lot of grind. Describe for those out there that haven't seen you play, what type of game you have, what are some of your strengths on the court?
I would say for me now, my strengths would be I play above the rim pretty well. I shoot the ball really well.
By the way, there's a picture of you, I think it's on Instagram, where you're going in for a dunk and it looks like you jumped off a trampoline. I mean, you are way above the rim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
You are way. It's from the back. I think it's at a home game because you're on the white uniform.
Yeah. So that was back in December, and that was I think I got a steal in transition. I got that dunk, and that was I think it was my second or third dunk of the game or something. But yeah, I've definitely learned how to play above the rim now.
Was it something you worked on or just came naturally?
It was a little bit of both. My freshman year, just kind of going through practices every day, I started to jump a little bit higher. I started dunking maybe March of my freshman year, and then I didn't get my first in-game dunk until right before my 15th birthday in AAU. And then I think I got a couple more my sophomore year, and it's just and then sophomore year to junior year, that summer during quarantine, I was working out a ton. I think I gained 30 pounds in 2 months, and my vertical increased a ton, and I was jumping a lot higher. And so I think that's probably what got to me to this point now. But yeah, it was a little bit of, it just kind of came with age, and then part of it was me working on it. But other parts of my game, I pass the ball pretty well. I feel like I see the court really well, especially for a guy at my size. But I feel like my game's, I'm starting to try and round it out, I guess.
Well, and speaking of a well-rounded game, you guys are in the GCL co-ed division, and if you go on the website and look at the statistics, of the 5 major categories with statistics, you are in the top 5 of every major category. I believe you're tied for first in rebounding. Is that correct? Around 8.1 a game. Second in scoring, around 17.5. I think you're in steals, assists, blocks, and that is just, you are a well-rounded, basketball player. Where do you get all that from? Because you see a lot of kids today, and they'll specialize in something. So they may only exist in one category statistically. They may be the leading scorer, and they're in no other statistical categories, but you're in every single one of them. Top 5, number 1 in a bunch of them.
I would give that credit to my coaches when I was younger. I mean, they always told me uh, I was supposed to be a basketball player, not, you don't have to be a center or a small forward or a point guard. Like,
I like that.
you can be a basketball player. And I think another part of that would be I always grew up, I always wanted to be like LeBron. And I always saw him. He was, dropping triple doubles before Russell Westbrook made it super cool.
Right.
And like seeing like that made me want to play just like him. And everybody was like, "Oh, LeBron's so good." And I figured, well, if I can do that, then maybe people will think I'm good too. And I've always wanted to be like LeBron. So, that's kind of where it stems from. Was when I was younger, I was taught, make the extra pass, play good basketball, be a good teammate, and then you can't score on offense if you don't get rebounds. And I always had to battle against my little brother in the backyard to get rebounds for the ball. So I think that was kind of what helped me round out my game. But yeah, I would say those.
What stat are you most proud of? Because like I said, you're in second in scoring. You're in assists, blocks, steals, rebounding.
I selfishly I want to say scoring because a lot of people doubted how well I could score the ball before this year. That was always kind of the knock on my game was, oh yeah, he can do all those things, but like, can he really score that well? Another part of me wants to say assist because that's not really my stat. That's my teammate's stat. Like I can find an open person, but they got to hit the shot. So I think that's something that speaks to our whole team is we're going to find the open guy. And I think the game on Friday, we had 17 made shots and we had 17 assists as a team. So I think that's probably the stat I'm most proud of is my assists.
Let's go back to the scoring. You said some people doubted your scoring. So how did you improve your scoring, and what part of your scoring improved?
A lot of it was just confidence. I mean, coming into this year, being a senior, you want your last season to be your season. And that started with our first game. We played Homestead out of Indiana, who I think is a top 5 team in Indiana, and they have a Purdue commit, top 100 player.
You scored 29 that game, didn't you?
Yeah. So that game, I kind of came in with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder with the kid going to Purdue, Fletcher Warrior, really good player, but I wanted to show people I'm just as good as he is. And so I did end up scoring 29 that game, and that's kind of continued throughout most of the season. I haven't scored 29 again, but just kind of the continued aggression and confidence. And I think part of that was playing this summer and seeing I can play with top guys and I can score with them. So I think that's kind of where it came from.
And I think you are the future of basketball. Well, it's kind of already here, but you're 6'9", you're listed as a guard, you have guard skills, you can shoot the basketball, play above the rim. A lot of, as you talked about earlier, your coaches early on, they told you be a basketball player, not just a post guy. A lot of guys your size get thrown down the post. Mm-hmm. And they say, oh, he's tall, so he's going to be a post player. And you look at a lot of kids now, Amani Bates, and I can go on and on. Mm-hmm. They play a lot on the perimeter, and you have all of those skills. Play perimeter, go inside, use your length, and jump over people. That's going to pay off really well at the college level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Part of that is one of the teams I played with when I was younger. We had 2 other guys that were huge, which Gabe Phillips and Adam Duvall at Beaver Creek. So I was the 3rd or 4th tallest player on my team at that time. So I was able to play on the perimeter and still be a taller kid, which I think helped improve my game a lot.
Yeah, no question. All right, good deal. Oh, let me ask you this real quick. These are the Greek Freak, Giannis' shoes. Mm-hmm. Is there any player, I know you mentioned LeBron, mm-hmm. Is there any player out there that you watch either at the college or pro level where you kind of take little things they do and apply it to your game?
I know 2 of the guys I've talked with my trainer about are Paul George and Jason Tatum. Those are 2 guys that I see roughly around my height, but I feel like I move similar to. Obviously, those are elite players, but those are 2 guys I feel like I can take a lot of things from their game and try to use it in my game.
Do you watch any video of them? Try to break it down?
Yeah.
Good.
I had a connection to Drew Hanlon with the whole Belmont thing, and obviously Drew Hanlon works out Jason Tatum, and he asked if I needed anything, and I asked him if he could, if he could help me with like adding some Jason Tatum stuff to my game, and he sent me Jason Tatum's pre-draft workout with the Celtics.
Oh, that's
And
good.
it was like 30 or 40 minutes of just one-on-one moves Jason Tatum used.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. You know, I'll tell you this quick story. So when I was preparing to walk on with the Bearcats back in the day, I used to watch Allen Iverson tapes when he was in college.
Yeah.
And I would just rewind, Jacob, and watch his footwork. You know, a lot of people, when they see him cross over, they get caught up in the ball, going out wide here and him doing a little dance stuff, but it was all his footwork. His footwork was so freaking good. And I just rewound the tape. I studied it. I used to draw on a piece of paper how he would do it, and I would practice it over and over. So I kept that I had a little notebook where I wrote down all Allen Iverson's moves, his footwork. I still have that. My hope is I meet AI one day.
You show it to him?
I want to give it to him. I want to say, listen, I'm not a big autograph guy. I just want to say, hey, man, this is like you inspired me. I know he probably gets that a million times, but whoever gives him something and says, you know, here you go.
Yeah.
Keep it.
That's something that I feel like is underappreciated, is the footwork in the game. Like I read the Mamba Mentality book, and it talked about how much of a skill footwork is. And it's like, if you can have good footwork, you can get past anybody, even if you're not the fastest. Like Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, who maybe aren't the most athletic or fastest players, but have some of the best footwork in the league, are able to get to the rim whenever they want. And I think that gets overlooked a lot of times, and I think it's a pretty crucial skill of the game.
Offensively and defensively, it is a crucial skill. I played with a guy named Steve Logan, and Steve Logan wasn't the most athletic guy in the world, but he was one of the best guards in the country. And I had to guard him in practice every day. And when I tell you this man's footwork was beyond elite, and that's what made him so good. So stay on that footwork, man. That Mamba mentality ain't lying to you. So this is good stuff, man. Let's jump into your next item.
This one might be a fan favorite, but you got the headband.
Yes.
I
have questions about this.
I bet you do.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear these, but the headband is something I started wearing in 3rd or 4th grade, which actually is when I started playing basketball. But I started wearing it back then, and it's just kind of stuck, and to the point where sometimes I'll go out to you go to the 3SSB stuff, people are like, oh, you're the kid with the headband. I got the one video from Courtside Films. It's like, we found that high school Alex Caruso. And I'm like, sure. But
that's funny.
Probably one of the most easy ways to recognize me on the court.
Is this because of LeBron?
Partially, yeah.
Partially?
So it's that. And also when I was younger and still now, I sweat a ton. And so I would get sweat in my eyes and couldn't see. And because my hair was so short and it would just go straight through.
I have that same problem. Yes, I get it.
But so I started wearing that, and it's just kind of stuck.
I figured LeBron had something to do with this. I wasn't sure the function of the actual headband, the sweat. Is this actually a game worn?
It's game worn from Friday, but it did get washed.
Okay.
So,
you did.
Yeah,
now, do you have a whole collection of them, or is it just?
Yeah. So I used to just if I saw a headband in a store, I would just grab it. I had neon ones. I had a red, white, and blue one. And they've come in use before. I used the red, white, and blue one for USA theme at football games and stuff.
So you wear them outside the court, it's like you're. You should have worn one for the interview.
No. There's sometimes I wear them, but I used to. I think I used to get I had a Harlem Globetrotters one. I had a UC one from a game I went to one time. But yeah, I used to collect headbands all the time. I don't think I have as many anymore. I think I just have the Under Armour ones for high school. But
at your high school game, have you ever had the student section all wear headbands? If not, they need to do that. That needs to be
senior night, February 12th against Meadowdale at home. You guys need to wear headbands.
Headband night. I like that.
That's good. I think this is my 3rd or 4th headband of the year, I think. Because there's this one group of little kids, they always want a headband after some of the home games. And so I've given 2 or 3 away.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I had to go buy some more.
That's when you know you're a superstar, man.
Well, at Alter apparently. But yeah, I mean, and Ryan Chu wears a headband now too, so it's not
Copying your style?
I guess
He's copying your style.
I think he is. It's either that or it's the perm. That he's getting.
His perm gets in the way. He's gonna see this and go, "Don't talk about my perm."
His perm's nice.
You gonna go with the perm look? You gonna?
We win state, yeah.
Okay. Is that a already prearranged?
That's a deal, yeah.
Oh wow. Well,
2 weeks.
I hope you guys win just to
see it.
Just to see that. Have you ever had a game where you didn't play since you started wearing the headband? You didn't wear the headband and have like a bad game?
Yeah. So my freshman year, I was really embarrassed to wear it at the start of the season.
Wait, why was that?
I don't know. I was just this little freshman kid playing JV, and I was like, I don't know if I should wear it. I don't know if I should wear it. And like the first 3 games of the year, I didn't wear it. And I didn't have bad games, but I didn't have great games either. The first game I put the headband on, we played against CJ at Centerville. You were at the game, and I had like 18 that game, and it was the first game I started, and I wore the headband. And then from then on, I've always worn it for high school games. I don't wear it in the summer though. Usually, like summer.
In AAU?
Summer, AAU, practice, I don't wear it. It's only for games.
And that's when you should wear it in AAU too.
Oh, for AAU, I wear it for AAU.
Okay, I was going to say.
For like when we would scrimmage over the summer.
Okay, you wouldn't wear it.
I would hardly ever wear it. I think this summer I did. But like for practice, I never wear it. Practice, open gyms, never had it, but just games.
It's kind of, it's part of your brand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like I interviewed Rayvon Griffith, and his hair is like, part of his thing. He walks in, everyone's like, oh, if you don't know who he is, you definitely know the.
Yeah.
Because I asked him, I said, are you ever going to cut the hair? And he's like, that's kind of part of who I am.
Right. Yeah. Try to get some NIL deals out of the headband next year.
See, now you're thinking NIL. You're going to wear the headband at Marshall? You're going to wear it? Okay.
Definitely.
Now, in high school, right now, you're number 24, correct? Is that because of Kobe, or is that something?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's a little bit of like, it kind of just happened, and Kobe.
Because you wore 44.
I wore 44 my freshman year, and that was because it was the last jersey left. I was the last kid to pick because I was the only freshman on the team. But like in soccer and football, when I was younger, I was worth 37 because my favorite football player was J.K. Schaefer from UC.
Yeah.
And I always wore 37. And one year during soccer, I ordered the number 37 for everything, and my jersey, my practice jersey, all came in as 24. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll wear 24. And then I kept it for basketball, and I've always just had it since. And now I keep it because of Kobe. And my sophomore year, I think I actually had number 10 because 24 was being used by Connor Stiley.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But 24 has just kind of always been my number since it got like mixed up. And yeah.
You wore 0 in AAU, correct?
Yeah.
This past.
Yeah. So we didn't originally have a 24, but we had a 0. And I was like, I don't know. Numbers aren't super significant. Like my number isn't super significant to me, but if 24 is available, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. Some players, the number is like very, very important to them. That's why I always ask players, like, why do you have that number? Is there something behind it? And I thought maybe, had something to do with Kobe. But
they're like, especially once the incident with him happened, I definitely kept it because kind of out of honor him. I mean, he is one of the best players ever played.
Absolutely.
So being able to wear his number is pretty cool, and you try to do it right by playing well. But yeah, especially like if numbers are out and certain kids have like a reason they want to wear a certain number, like I'll give the number up because. For me, I mean, a jersey number is a jersey.
Sure.
But for other kids, it obviously has a big impact on them, and I can 100% respect that.
And quickly back to high school, going to Alter High School, first of all, I love Dayton high school basketball. I think it's fantastic. I'm glad, obviously the pandemic was terrible, but one thing it allowed me to do is, a lot of the games were on the internet. And I could sit at home during a pandemic and watch all these different, high school games, whereas now I'm like at one and I only can watch one while I'm there, but I can go back and watch on the internet. But I love watching Dayton area, basketball. A lot of really good players. And you go to a school with great basketball tradition.
Tons.
I mean, if you think of Coach Petro, I mean, he coached at Alter, what, 50 years?
Yeah.
He retired after 50 some years. And all the players that came before you, a rich tradition.
I mean, you've got both the Paxson brothers.
Yep.
I mean, then you have the Walakowski brothers. One,
Yep.
Keith went to UD. Adam went to Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, recently you've had Jerron Simmons.
Yep. Ended up at Michigan.
Ended up at Michigan. Now I think he's a video coordinator
Yep.
for them, but he's on staff with them. You had the team that played LeBron his senior year in the state final. You've got I can't remember who's on the team, but took it to the wire with them. I mean,
But just a tremendous amount of tradition there. And I heard Petro say this, Coach Selly said this like a while back. He said back in like the 70s, a lot of the guys that played at the University of Dayton stayed in the Dayton area, and when their kids got older, they went to Alter and played for Coach Petro, and that kind of started the whole, basketball tradition there. And fast forward to today, and they've got a stud in you, playing for them. But just that Dayton area is really good. I mean, CJ, that's competition for you guys. And right now in the GCL co-ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are in first place at 7-0, and CJ's right behind you, and you guys have them on Tuesday.
got them Friday.
Was it Friday?
It's Friday.
Okay. Did they move that? I thought it was Tuesday. I was going to try to come out to that.
I think it's Friday.
Okay.
But it's Friday at their place.
I should be rocking.
I'm hoping. We haven't played there in 2 years, so I'm hoping it is. But yeah,
you're definitely prepared. You're prepared for that one.
Yeah.
Mentally,
I'm ready for that one.
I mean, there's a lot of great basketball in that area, and one of your buddies, and I actually saw you guys, if it was 2 summers ago, I guess, Gabe Cups.
Yep.
One of your buddies. Remember that? You guys put together like a little...
The Leftovers.
What was your team called? The Leftovers?
Yeah.
And why'd you guys call yourselves that?
We were just a bunch of kids from different AAU teams, so we were the leftover kids, and we just played.
You guys were pretty damn good for leftovers.
Yeah. I mean, guys on that team, you got Reed Shepard, Gabe, Rich Rolfe, Turner Buttrey was on the team for a little bit, Trent Noah, who in Kentucky just dropped 66 in a game.
You're talking about some high-level guys right there.
Right. And so and Tom House was on that team for a minute.
He's going to Florida State, is that right?
Okay. Yeah. So it was just kind of out of the blue. I mean, I was sitting at home and Tom texted me and he was like, "Hey, Coach Cups is taking a team down to Charleston. You want to come play?" I was like, "Sure." I got nothing else to do, and we ended up going down to Charleston and went down there, and I think we went 4-0, and then the next week Wildcat Select played, and I went with Wildcat Select, and I played the last 2 weekends with the Leftovers in Cincinnati and in Rock Hill, and I think we ended up going like 17-0.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, that team was. I mean, we would walk into the gym and we had the pennies.
I remember.
One side blue, one side white, and the blue shorts, and came in there and beat teams by 30 and 40.
I think you beat one of our teams by quite a bit.
At Courts for Sports?
Yeah, Courts for Sports. Yeah, I think on one of your Instagram photos, there's some slides, some photos in there. One of you, I think you might have been dunking on one of our guys, I think. But that's cool. That's back to what I was talking about with those relationships. So you build, Reed Shepard going to UK, and obviously his dad was a great player at UK, and Gabe Cups, and he's going to IU, and he's a fantastic player.
Yep.
Those relationships, man, are so important because I personally think, if you look at just you guys and just guys in the greater Cincinnati area, there's a whole crop of kids, I think, that have the potential to play at the next level beyond college at the professional. Agree with that?
I agree. I think, especially right now between the 2022 and 2023 class, I think it's pretty loaded in Southwest Ohio. But we'll see. Time will tell.
No question. All right, let's jump into your next item.
All right, this one is a throwback.
Ooh.
This is my first ever jersey, number 3. But this is my rec jersey, first time I ever played basketball with the Beaver Creek Future Stars. back in 3rd grade.
Okay.
But so I had never played. I had never thought about the game. Even like my mom played in college, my dad played in high school, but I had never really like wanted to play basketball up until I think it was like middle of 2nd grade, and I was going to an after-school care with Adam Duvall at Beaver Creek, and he was just shooting in the gym, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm playing basketball." I'm like, "What is that?" And he helped kind of teach me the game a little bit, and I started practicing a lot, and I came home with my parents, and I was like, "I want to play basketball." And they're like, "Well, it's in season right now, so you can't." And told me I'd have to wait until next year. And when I finally did, they were trying to decide if I wanted to play rec or with like a travel team.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided to go with rec because if I didn't like it, oh well. But so I played 1 year with Beaver Creek Stars, the rec team, and I kind of fell in love with it there and ended up playing with the Beaver Creek Stars 4th through 6th grade with Adam. So this is the first jersey I ever put on and played a game in. So
this was the start of it here.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned something, and I want to get into that. So your first basic opportunity, playing basketball. You talked about your mother, playing basketball, and your father. Talk about how important your family has been, to your journey. I know your father, Craig, and tremendous guy, very supportive of you, and kind of he's one of those dads that's, in the background, laid back. He's not acting, super crazy like some parents get, but very supportive of you and your journey. So why don't you speak about your mother and father and your journey?
Well, they were huge for me, just like pushing me to, be the best at whatever I wanted to be, which I think was great. They didn't force me into basketball to a point where I wasn't going to like it. They didn't force me into anything, and so.
And they didn't force you into this. You came to them and said, "Hey."
I came to them after school, and I was like, "I want to play basketball," and so they told me if I wanted to play, they would let me play, but they were really supportive of whatever I wanted to do. I played t-ball for like 2 weeks, and they were like, "If you want to play, like, you can be one of the best baseball players to ever play." And I was like, "Okay." And same with soccer, same with football, and they were always super supportive and getting me where I needed to be, helping me, and we had a hoop out front, and when I said I wanted to play, they would just shoot with me outside. So just little stuff like that that's helped, bring me along the way has been awesome. And they've been great. They've been a great support system.
So where'd your mom go to high school, and where'd she play college?
So she went to Mason High School back when it was super small, and then she played at Miami of Ohio. And then she holds the record for field goal percentage, men's or women's.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So I get, no offense to my dad, but I get my basketball from her.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, because your mom beat your dad in basketball? In their prime, who would win?
My mom.
Your mom?
Yeah.
Wow. I have to talk with your dad about this. He's right over there.
Yeah. I mean,
he probably
might
admit
agree.
it.
Yeah.
He'd admit it as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's important that, the parents are very supportive in the child's journey and always giving the child confidence that, hey, whatever it is, if it's, baseball, tennis, basketball, you could be the greatest you could be at it as long as you put in the time, and we're going to get you there. And your parents have supported you in your journey, and your journey is just starting. So going from high school to college, let's talk about Marshall. Let's talk about the recruiting process. And before we started this interview, you and I talked a little bit about the recruiting process. Who was your first offer from?
It was Bryant University.
Bryant, okay.
Out of the NEC. It was in between Zoom classes for school. So I was, CK had texted me, he was like, "Hey," he's like, "are you available for a call at this time?" And I'm like, that's 5 minutes before my Spanish class starts, but like, sure. And he called like maybe 1 or 2 minutes late, and I was like freaking out. And I'm like sitting by my computer, but I got my phone right next to me because at this point, the coach can't call you directly with I don't know what rules in place for it, but the coaches can't directly contact you until June 15th going into your junior year. And so uh, he called me, and I'm like, hey, I was like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? And he's like, yeah, yeah. He goes, let me get this guy on the phone. And I was like, I'm still freaking out. I'm like, I don't know who's about to be on the phone. The guy comes on, he's like, hey, he goes, you're doing all the right things. You know, you're in a really good position here with a great program. He's like, we just want to say we're going to offer you a scholarship. And um, I was like, that's awesome, that's awesome. And he's like, yeah, he's like, this is so and so from Bryant University, and we just would like to offer you your first scholarship. And I'm like freaking out in my head. I'm like, okay. I'm like, is this like real right now? Because I'm about to go into Spanish 3 class, and I just get my first offer, and I'm like freaking out, and I texted my parents, and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, I can't talk. I gotta go to class, and I had to sit through a whole class before I could even say anything about it.
You were anxious.
I was so anxious. I was sweating in the class, and I don't know if you could tell, but it was.
Should have had your headband on.
I should have, but yeah. So that was my first offer. It was back in April of my sophomore year.
And I know you were appreciative of that first offer, but deep down inside, did you know more were coming?
Yeah.
I know you want to be humble and all that, but
yeah,
you put in a lot of work.
Yeah, and I had been talking to some other schools at that point, and so when that one came in, I was like, and I had always thought, like, you know, when one comes in, you know, if one school believes, then, you know, other schools might be like, okay, well, what are we missing? And they might jump on too. So that's what I was hoping would happen. So in the back of my mind, I was like, I'll probably get more offers to go with this.
And talk a little bit. When we were talking before this, your dad said something, and he talked about during the recruiting process and just your basketball development, kind of running your own race.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. And I think sometimes kids get caught up in, oh, I don't have an offer, or I need a higher level offer, I need this Division I school. For you, what was your mindset during that whole process of recruiting in? I mean, you landed at a school which seems to be a great fit for you.
Mm-hmm. So kind of in my head, like I wanted to shoot for as high as I could go. And so after my freshman year, I had done a camp at Valparaiso, and I did one at Miami of Ohio. And so that kind of got the ball rolling for me a little bit. And I had taken, beginning of my sophomore year, I took some visits. I think I went to Wright State and UD and Xavier. And so kind of from there, I started gaining some interest, but it was nothing super serious because none of the coaches had seen me play before, like in person, besides Miami of Ohio and Valpo. But my main goal at that point as a sophomore was really, I was kind of more focused on my high school stuff than I was college. Like, I would still, you know, call the coaches when I could, but at the end of the day, I was still playing my high school games, and I was more focused on that kind of stuff. And then my play, I guess towards the end of the season, kind of the district championship game, there were a lot of coaches that were at that game, and talking with them, I talked to a couple of the coaches for probably, I talked to, there's one staff in particular I talked to for over a year before they offered me. So there is it is.
Was that frustrating?
It is to a certain degree. Part of it is you got to see what other offers they're making. If they're offering a bunch of other kids and they're still talking to you for a year, you're not too sure that they're that interested.
Sure.
But other schools that just come in, never talk to you, and then offer you kind of the same thing. But there is a process to that. And like for me, I didn't play varsity as a freshman. I came up for the tournament and practice, and I was the scout team. And so I kind of had to fill other roles before I could, you know, become a Division I prospect. And so for me, yeah, there were a bunch of other kids in my grade that had gotten offers, you know, freshman and sophomore year, and I was, you know, you do get worried about it. You do get a little bit jealous, but at the end of the day, some of us are, you know, younger. You know, hit puberty later. You mature differently. Your game grows differently. So running your own race is super important. I think I don't think I used that hashtag, but I think I hashtagged it bet on yourself, because at the end of the day, you know what you're about.
Yeah.
And if you know what kind of work you put in, you know it's going to come back to you, because at the end of the day, you can't cheat what's going to come back to you. If you work for it in some way, some fashion, you're going to get it. And so for me, I knew I put in work, and I knew I was going to get, maybe not everything that I wanted, but I got what I needed. And so the recruiting process definitely started off slow for me. And then summer going into junior year, it kind of blew up, and that's, it was really just a very slow race for me. And obviously there was other guys in my class that, may have gone bigger than me, but it wasn't super, it didn't pick up for them either. Like a guy like Gabe Cups didn't get his first offer until this summer and is going to IU. So you gotta do your own thing.
Yeah, for sure. So what was it about Marshall?
So when I went on that visit, it was mid-June. It was like June 20th or something. It was somewhere around that time frame, and it was right after everything got opened up, and they're like, so they were talking to me, and they're like, yeah, you're our first visit on campus since everything opened up. And I was like, okay. And I also knew I was one of the few offers they had made it in my class. So I figured if that's the case, I'm probably a pretty somewhat decent target. And I thought that at the beginning. As I went through the whole visit, I didn't have to question that again. The way the staff talked to me, the way they had me around the players, they really made me feel like a priority. And so being on campus and them introducing me to a bunch of people too, a lot of the people that were working on campus were all Marshall alum. And so for me, if they're all like, yeah, I graduated in 95, but I came back here in 2010 to come back and work here, I'm like, okay, well, there's something about this place that they obviously love. And Marshall
something
also,
special there.
right?
Yeah.
Marshall also was super open. Like they put Tavion Kinsey, Michael Byers, and Andrew Taylor. They had us go in the coach's office, and they put my mom, my dad, and me all in the room. And the coaches all left, and they said, all right, you guys have like an hour and a half, ask them whatever you want. And so for me, they were super open, super honest. They made me feel like a priority. I loved campus. I loved the energy there. And another thing is the style of play really fit me. They play super fast, shoot a lot of threes, get a lot of dunks. So I feel like it's a pretty exciting brand of basketball.
That's what I was going to say with the fit.
Yeah.
The fit seems definitely something that you do well in.
I mean, it's the basketball recruiting process is not always go for the highest name. Obviously, part of your ego does want to do that, but at the end of the day, would you rather go somewhere and maybe not play as much, or maybe you do play, but you don't play a ton because you don't fit the style, and it's a bigger name, and you get a lot of praise from other people in your area, or do you go somewhere that fits you, and you play super well, and you develop, and you do what you want to do.
Yep.
And so for me, that's kind of what it was, and it's part of the reason I made my decision before the July evaluation periods, because after I took those visits, I felt like I was, in the place I needed to be, and I felt like Marshall was the right place for me.
And there are a lot of guys in the NBA right now that, to your point, went to a school that fit what they needed. Ja Morant, he didn't go to a Duke. Steph Curry, Davidson, you can go on. Dame Lillard.
Yep.
There's a lot of examples of, I'm talking about all-stars.
Right.
That went to the school that fit them, not getting maybe, of course, Steph Curry, I've always heard, wanted to, go to that high Division I level, but didn't get that offered. But he went somewhere that was a great fit. He developed that confidence and made it the next level. So I think that's a great point. And something you mentioned, I believe the coach, Dan D'Antonio, he played. Did he play there?
At Marshall.
He played at Marshall.
He played at Marshall, and then when he came back and coached, he recruited his brother Mike D'Antoni.
Coached in the NBA.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
Coach Dan actually coached with him in Phoenix
Okay.
with
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Steve Nash and Mari Stoudemire
That's
team.
right. Yeah.
So he's been around a lot of NBA guys. So like,
He knows what he's doing.
right. I mean, like Coach D'Antoni, Mike D'Antoni's offense. I mean, he was with the Nets last year.
Yeah.
Pretty good offensive team.
Yeah.
And that Rockets team with James Harden really was one of the teams that changed the game with that Warriors team with the pace and space, shoot the three. So I feel like that's if that's where the NBA is going, I feel like the best place to do that would be a direct line to it, and that would be Coach D'Antoni.
And I think with your skill set right now and hopefully your quick adjustment to college basketball, you could become an important piece right away. I know Marshall's struggling a little bit. They're on a losing streak right now. I think they're 7-12 right now, something like that, and they're on a losing streak. So they need you right away. They might need you right now. Step in there and play.
Yeah, they're struggling a little bit, but they're starting to find it. They're just not shooting the ball great right now.
Yeah,
from what I've been watching, but their effort is there. Just not hitting shots, but they'll be all right.
So if you were to give advice to the younger generation, so if there are young kids out there that are in 7th grade and people are going, that kid's got a lot of potential, he's going to be really good, kind of like people were doing with you, what advice would you give to that kid for their journey that you've learned along your journey?
This is kind of a two-parter, but the one thing that we said is like run your own race. You really got to focus on yourself more than other people, and
that's hard to do with social media right now.
It's very hard. I mean, anytime you can open Instagram or Twitter, and I remember especially when I was getting offers, like if you go on Twitter, you see everybody else's offers coming in, especially during the summer when it's the evaluation periods, and you open Twitter and it's blessed to receive, this, and you're like, okay, like I got to catch up, but you really have to. You can really only compare yourself to yourself because not everybody's the same basketball player. Like, not everybody is going to be a Sean Jones. Not everybody is going to be a Josiah Harris, a Bowen Harden. Not everybody's going to be those guys. And so as long as you're getting better at what you do and you add stuff to your game, I think the only thing you can do is, play your way into an offer. Because if I'm a coach and I see you play as a freshman, you continue to, progress every year, every time I see you, you're like, okay, well, if we get him for 4 years, like, imagine what we can do with him. So it's that's the first part. The second part would be to just block out other noise. I think a lot of people have bad influences in their ears. You get people that tell you, you got to do this, it'll be best for you. Oh, go to this school. You have to focus on what's best for you, because at the end of the day, it's your future. So if you want to get recruited to a certain level, you're going to be the one that puts in the work to get there. And like for me, I have people that ask me all the time, oh, why didn't he go bigger? Why didn't I remember after the Moeller game and one of the mixtapes got posted, somebody's like, I respectfully disagree with his decision. He should open up his recruitment.
Yep. And
I'm like, I disagree. Because I think if you're getting what you want and if your future, if you're happy with it, man, that's all you can ask for is, getting your school paid for, playing more basketball, and doing it at a place you want to be at versus a place that other people want you to be at. So, kind of what that sums up into is don't look at comments on social media.
Don't look at Instagram and Twitter. You can't get caught up in that stuff.
It's hard, but you really do have to focus on yourself more than anything else.
Yeah. You're very mature with all that. I feel like I don't know what you're going to major in, but you could be like a therapist. Like I might hire you as my therapist.
I'm thinking about psychology.
Well, I think you'd be really good at that. I'll hire you as my therapist. And
sounds good.
Just sit down with you and I'll put on a headband and you can kind of tell me what I need to do better.
I'll put one on too.
We'll both
we'll be on the same wavelength then.
I love it. You have siblings?
Yeah. Got 2 younger brothers.
Give them a shout out.
All right. So we got Brady Connor, freshman at Alter High School, class of 2025. He's next up. You guys will see it. Okay. It might be slow. He's younger than I am. He just turned 14 back in August, so he's definitely younger, but he will be next up. And then we got Matthew. He's a third grader right now. I don't know what class that is, but he's the next best Minecraft or volleyball player. He's up there.
Those damn video games, I tell you what.
He knows what he's talking about, so he's doing his thing.
Hey, I'm sure they look up to you, and hopefully you give them a lot of great advice. And I mean, just hearing you talk, you probably give them great advice, and you know every step you take in your journey, they're watching you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing for me is like one of the reasons I try to make the right decisions, and I think about what I'm going to do as far as like with my life is I do have other people watching me now.
Yeah.
I do have younger siblings, so if I go out and I make a bad choice, they're like, okay, like, is that my brother? Or like, what? Yep. Like, they kind of, they have to think about it versus, you know, if I go out and I make the right choice, they're like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, if I lead by example, then that just, you know, opens up that pathway for them. And so for me, I would rather them be more successful than I am because I would help set that path for them.
So let's segue into, you've got a big game coming up versus CJ, and you have a lot of big games. Obviously, you guys 7-0 in the league. Everyone's going to be gunning for you every single night, and then a big run in the tournament.
Yeah,
that's obviously a goal. So to get pumped up for that game versus CJ, and I love asking young players this question: what music are you listening to pump you up?
Okay, so I will say my pregame routine is very.
Oh, you have strict. A whole routine.
It's very strict.
Okay.
For me, at least.
All right, I'm interested to hear this now.
So, I have to get Chick-fil-A. That's
we've got to.
So I have to get Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Okay.
I always drink like a Pedialyte and do Normatec the night before. I have a meditation that I do before every game. I use the Calm app and I use the LeBron James segments. So I've been doing that since last year. But that kind of helps me get into the right mindset. As far as music, and this is something I learned from the Kobe book, he said the kind of music you listen to, or the kind of music I listen to, depends on the kind of game I need to have. So like, I tend to listen to like a lot of like fast-paced, kind of more aggressive, like Chicago drill is what I listen to a lot. So like Lil Durk.
Lil Durk's your guy?
I like Lil Baby's my favorite for sure.
All right.
Lil Durk is probably on my playlist the most, and then I have one T Grizzly song on there, and that's the song I have to listen to last. I have to listen to God's Warrior by T Grizzly last every time. But that's
the energy you need.
That's the energy. Yeah, that's what I always come into games into like kind of a like killer mentality, I guess, just to like lock in. So that's my pregame pretty much. It's Chick-fil-A, meditate, listen to
T Grizzly. little Durk.
Yeah.
And I always think that's, well, first of all, it's fascinating to hear people's routines. Like you have a routine. That's fascinating to hear. But then music too, because everyone's so different. I've mentioned this several times in the interviews. Rayvon listens to some country.
Yeah.
And then Bowen talked about listening to jazz, which he got from Russell Westbrook. He listens to jazz before games, which, to your point, like I'm always surprised that Russell Westbrook listens to jazz, because it seems like he listens to some. Yeah, it's not working.
It's not working. He's got to change that.
He's got to figure out something else to listen to. Yeah. I've always found that fascinating about, because I think today is a little bit different than maybe when I played, because when I played, it was more, you know, we're all playing the same song. It's kind of like when I played for the Bearcats, we listened to a lot of Master P. You ever heard of Master P? His son is actually just transferred to Xavier. Hersey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's at Xavier now, but
he was at Tennessee State.
Yep, HBCU, and transferred out. He got hurt and transferred out. But we listen to a lot of Master P. Lil Baby, go?
No, they haven't been around long enough. It's got to be Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne's your go? He's a good one. Yeah. He's a good one. Okay, I'll give you that. So big Jay-Z guy, and I feel like Jay-Z has so much material, and I think he's dropped so many gems in all of his musics that you can take almost something from his songs and his lyrics and apply them to situations, you know, people's journey. So I always like to listen to the person I'm interviewing and then think of a lyric from a song that would apply to what they've talked about. So I was thinking about it, and so Jay-Z, do you know he retired from rap at one time? Did you know that?
No.
Okay, so good. Now I can teach you something here. So Jay-Z came out with an album called the Black Album. All right, and that was his swan song, meaning his last album, and he was going to walk away from hip hop music. And great album, by the way, one of his best albums. But he had a song in there called "Public Service Announcement." You ever heard the song? You haven't? You might have. It starts off. It goes. This is not the lyric for you, but it starts off. Allow me to reintroduce myself. Yeah, okay. My name. Then a boom, and it hits. Okay, so you know the song.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that song, public service announcement, he has a lyric in there, and it made me think about you a little bit. And I was thinking about you starting off, you know, with your career and where you are now and your journey you still have to go. And he says in the song, and I'm going to take the part of the lyric here. He says, "My homie Strick told me, dude, finish your breakfast. So that's what I'm going to do. Take you back to the dude in the Lexus. Fast forward to the jewels in the necklace." Okay, so I'm going to need to explain that to you. Okay, so there's this guy. He says, "My dude Strick told me, dude, finish your breakfast." So Strick was a street ball legend in New York City. John Strickland, I think he went by, his nickname was like Franchise. And actually, you can find this YouTube video now. So in the pickup game at Rucker Park, you've heard of Rucker Park in Harlem. So they're playing this pickup game. So Jay-Z has a team in the Rucker Park League. And so he's got this guy Strick, who's like his point guard or whatever. And he makes a pass to a guy. And the guy goes up for a dunk, and he misses it. Now, a great move, and just completely misses it. I mean, great move. Turns out the guy who missed it was Smush Parker, that played for the Lakers with Kobe. As our producer, Stu Holt's shaking his head about Smush Parker. He's a Lakers guy with Kobe. So Strick yells at the guy and goes, "Dude, finish your breakfast." And so Jay-Z's sitting there, and he goes, "I love that line. So my homie Strick told me, dude, finish your breakfast. So that's what I'm going to do. Take you back to the dude in the Lexus." And he's saying, take you back to the dude in the Lexus. So there's a picture of Jay-Z on the internet from when he first started out rapping of him in like a Lexus. And that was like the start of his career. It was like a picture of him. So I'm going to take you back to the dude in the Lexus. Fast forward to the jewels in the necklace. So now you see Jay-Z from the Lexus to the guy with the nice necklace. You know, he's got the rock chain and he's got all the jewelry. So the point of that lyric and how I think that applies to you is, you know, you started off, and I talked about at the start of this interview, that kid's got a lot of potential, right? That was the start. This is the breakfast here, right? And then we talk about, Jay-Z says, fast forward to the jewels in the necklace. You here today. You being an accomplished basketball player that you are today. But you have to combine, the point of the lyrics are, you have to combine those two things. The wisdom of what you have now, that hunger you had at the beginning when you started, and that combination will take you forward, and you'll do great things. And I personally think you're going to do great things at Marshall, and with the way the game of basketball is going, your skill set, I think you have a good chance to go play well beyond college. Would that be definitely a goal?
Yeah, 100%.
When you finish playing basketball and it's all said and done, what do you plan to do? What are some of your goals?
This is a tough one because I've thought previously being a teacher, like at a high school, being a coach is something I definitely want to be. I feel like I have a lot that I could share with like younger kids as they grow up playing. And then obviously we talked about me majoring in psychology possibly. So something in that field, possibly like a sports psychologist.
I think that's where it's at.
that might be where it's at.
I think that's where it's at.
But yeah, so something in that realm.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I think you're going to be very, very successful in basketball and life. And remember, dude, finish your breakfast.
Finish your breakfast.
Remember that. I'm gonna play that song for you and play that lyric so you know. I can rap the whole song right now, but I won't. No. I don't want to have to show off my my skills right now. We need to clip these and send all these to Jay-Z, and hopefully Jay-Z will get them and sign me.
If you sang it, he'd see it.
We'll do that after we finish up. But hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
All right, Jacob. Most kids' favorite part of the whole interview. Free food. All right. I know you're getting bigger and stronger, and you like free food?
Definitely.
Okay. Penn Station's one of our sponsors here, and we have some free subs. You like Penn Station?
100%.
Yeah? Which one do you go to?
I go to the one in Kettering.
Okay. Good deal, man. Give Penn Station a shout out.
Penn Station, thanks for the food. Appreciate it.